Hello everybody, it's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. Welcome to Oz Week. So I purchased this stamp from Kindred Stamps called Off to See the Wizard from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm not affiliated with Kindred Stamps. I just really loved this stamp set, and once I started playing with it, I couldn't stop making cards. So I thought I would try out a weekly series on my YouTube channel to see if you all liked that. So this video here, I'm going to feature coloring all of the images for Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Man. And I'm going to put together a card. So I've sped up the coloring quite a bit. It was quite long to color the 4 images, and you'll notice that I'd colored the skin tones for all but Dorothy so you could see what colors I used, but I did use the same colors for all of the skin for these little characters. So I'm using a combination of Spectrum Noir markers and Copic markers. If you've been watching me for a while, you will know that I started out coloring with Spectrum Noir markers just because they are more affordable, and I've now recently started building a Copic collection. So you can use any markers you have. You can interchange your alcohol markers. They blend together just fine. And I have a larger color selection of the Spectrum Noir, so for a lot of the images I did bring those in. So you can see the cap for the colors to the left-hand side if you want to recreate these images using some colors that you have. So here's little Dorothy coming to life, and I love that she has Toto in her arms. And I'm using a combination of light blues for her dress. I thought about paper piecing her dress with some blue checkered pattern paper, but I didn't have any in my stash. But if you have pattern paper that is blue checkered, that would be perfect for her dress, and then you wouldn't have to color it in. So I'm just going to color up the basket, and then I'm now moving on to the Scarecrow. So I looked up the images, well, not the images, the characters on Google, and so I'm following the colors of the original characters from the movie. And so I'm using a combination of greens for the Scarecrow's shirts. There's Piper. She was up on the desk with me and wanted to get in frame, and then realized she couldn't lay down because I was coloring. So I'm just doing some tip to tip here just because there's quite a bit of difference between the DG3 and the DG2. But I think the nice thing about having kind of gaps in colors is that it also creates some nice dimension. So I'm just going to finish up his little shirt and then carry on with the rest of his outfit. So I'm bringing in some more brown tones here. I'm using some of the tones that were in the colors that I colored Dorothy's hair with, just so that there's a consistency to the colors for the card. And I'm shading to one side. I'm not really paying that much attention here to light source. I don't normally, it's just, I'm not there yet. I'd love to take some Copic coloring classes to keep practicing, but for the most part, the people that I'm sending cards with wouldn't really have a sense of light sources. So I just color to color and to have fun. And I encourage you to do that as well. I know that coloring with alcohol markers can sometimes be intimidating, but I would say just jump in and try your best, and it will come out just great. So I'm just using some dark brown there for the little ribbon. It wouldn't be a ribbon, but I don't know what else to call it, in his hat, and then his belt, his kind of rope belt. The Tin Man is quite easy to color. He is all silver, so I'm using C5, C3, and C1 here. And I'm just using my C5 to kind of put in where I want the darkest parts to be. And then I'm going in with the C3, which is my mid shade, and kind of bringing out the color here. And then the least amount of area to color will be the C1, just to give some highlights. But I wanted to do as much definition as I could just because he is so monochromatic. So once I get his body colored up, I'm going to bring in the red for the hearts, and I'm using the same red combination for the heart as I did for Dorothy's shoes, so those will match. Now onto the lion. I kind of struggled with how to color him. There goes Piper again. Trying to figure out which colors I had that would kind of suit the lion color. So here are the color combinations I came up with. At first, I was trying to give him a fur kind of look with feathering as I colored, and then near the end, I sort of decided to just blend that all in. So his mane is a bit more fur-like, and then his body is more of a kind of one level. I don't know what the right word is. Kind of all smushed together and blended, I guess, would be the best. Lila's running around like crazy. I don't know if you can hear her. Anyways, so I'm finishing up this little guy, and I wanted his mane to be darker than his body. So I'm using more of a light golden yellow for the body, just using 2 markers here, and I found that 2 is enough. I was able to get dimension, and it still, looks like I put a lot of effort into the coloring, even though it's only 2 colors. So don't be afraid to use 2 color combinations if that's all you have in a certain color composite or scheme or whatever. I'm not starting off very well with this video. Can't get my words right today. I decided I wanted to darken up the lion's face a little bit because he would be quite shadowed with all that fur. So now I'm going to make the background of the scene. I'm using this English brick stencil from My Favorite Things, and then I'm using the Distress Oxide in Fossilized Amber and Wild Honey. So I just used some Post-it tape here to mark off where I wanted my road to be. And I'm using the lighter of the 2 colors here. And then I'm going to lift up this stencil, and I'm going to blend the underneath. So I did put a layer of the darker color as well, but I didn't want there to be any white. So I wanted to go over that and make sure that you can't see any of the white because there's no white in between the bricks on the yellow brick road. So now I'm just going to move these over so that I can do the outer portions of the card, and I'm going to be doing that in greens. So I'm going to use Twisted Citron, Peeled Paint, and Lucky Clover, and I'm going to blend the 3 of them to make the grass here. So I'm starting out with the lightest color, which is the Twisted Citron. And then I'm going to move into the Peeled Paint. And now I'm bringing in the Lucky Clover here to just kind of bring out that emerald color. Seeing, when we think of the Wizard of Oz, we think of the Emerald City. So I wanted there to be an emerald bright green in the grass as well. So just going back and forth, blending all these colors in. I go back over with the Twisted Citron. And then I'm going to peel this up, and we have the panel for the card. So I'm going to cut that out using a stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I'm just using my embossing buddy here, and I'm stamping the sentiment, "There's no place like home." I'm just using plain old VersaFine Black Onyx ink here. I'm going to stamp this a couple times so it's nice and crisp. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with some Simon Says Stamp detailed embossing powder. I'm going to heat that up with my heat tool, and then you can see it really pop on the back of that card. So I'm going to adhere the panel to my card base, and this is just some Recollections 110-pound cardstock that I cut into my own card bases. And now I'm just going to place my 4 little characters here on the yellow brick road. So they are starting their journey to the Emerald City, and they're going to follow that yellow brick road, hence the title of the video for today. So I hope you all enjoyed this. You're just going to see me here try to get these in place, and then I'll do some final detailing. I will be scheduling these videos for every morning this week, so keep an eye out for them. I'm just going to be adding some white onto the Tin Man here because I wanted him to shine, and then I put some on his hair and realized his hair wouldn't be shining, so don't do that. Now I'm just using a black glaze pen for their eyes. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to bring in a white gel pen as well, just to dot some white shine into their eyes. I'm using the Stickles in Candy Cane for Dorothy's shoes, and just using a pick here to make sure there's nothing on her socks. But here's where I'm putting the white little highlights in their eyes, and that really pops their faces, I think. It just makes them so adorable, just giving that little bit of detail. So that's the card for today. Stay tuned for the next card tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Bye!